Season 2, episode 25 of the Hall of Fame show. Number 25, that's the Barry Bonds episode.
It is the Barry Bonds episode, yes, or the Ricky Henderson episode.
Oh, that's right.
Ricky Henderson wouldn't remember the Ricky Henderson episode, probably.
No, he probably wouldn't. But one of them is a baseball Hall of Famer, one probably never will be, but both can get into the United States Athletic Hall of Fame, and you can vote for that. It's actually it's a lot less complicated than that of the New York City mayoral elections. And far more up and up.
I'm pretty sure I'm somehow on the ballot, and I don't know how I got there. So.
Yeah, well, I read you just dropped off of it.
Oh, is that what happened? Oh,
yeah.
So,
and you can go vote www.notinhalloffame.com/USA. Bonds is sort of an interesting. Actually, here's today's jersey, by the way. It's the Quebec Nordiques.
Ah, yes.
Arch rival of Montreal Canadiens, who are playing right now in Game 2, as we're recording this Wednesday night. My TV's my streaming's not working too good. So last I checked, les Habitants were down 2-1.
They are still down 2-1. This is kind of strangely, as a Boston Bruins fan, my worst case scenario Stanley Cup Finals.
I guess, yeah, I guess I could see why, yeah.
Because, I mean, neither of them were in our division this year. The first time Montreal has been in our group division since 1928. Mm-hmm. Or 26, actually. But, like, the battles we've had with Tampa over the last decade have kind of made them, like, I don't hate Tampa, but they're just, like, the pain-in-the-butt team, and if Tampa hadn't won last year, I probably would just be outright rooting for them. At the moment, I'm just rooting for like global warming to destroy all ice. So,
well, you're getting your wish apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good luck to the Seattle Kraken as they try and make the playoffs next year.
Oh my God. Well, I was living back in the Canadian Rockies. It went up to 40 degrees Celsius. That'd be 112.
112. My goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Death Valley was north of the border. That
is not, if I'm doing my math right, which I believe is you times the Celsius by 2 and then add 32. I think I'm correct.
I think it's multiplied by 9, divide by 5, and add 32, I think it's 9/5.
Well, maybe. Either way, it's fucking hot. Let's just leave it at that. And that's not normal weather.
The real question is, what is it, Kelvin? So the answer to that is 313, right? I think so.
This is no science show. Although
it is certainly not a science.
No.
Show.
Although I you know what? I'm kind of inspired. So, or maybe you inspired me, since I've kind of been going on these rants anyway. I'm not going to have a soapbox. Here's my official rant. I don't want to do what grinds my gears a la Peter Griffin. And I don't know that I have a soapbox, but I got a shit box.
Ooh.
And I didn't want to, I did touch it last week, but I didn't really know where to go with it. I'm going to do my one thing on transgender in the Olympics, and maybe I'll never talk about this again. I don't know. We'll see.
You're a brave man, my friend.
Well, a lot of people don't want to go there, and that's why a lot of people haven't. When Laurel Hubbard qualified, there wasn't a lot of blue check marks in the sporting world that were celebrating it. In fact, I couldn't find one. There might have been. I couldn't find any. Mm-hmm. Most of her competitors were either silent or politely discussed it. Mm-hmm. I believe there was one competitor from Australia who welcomed it. So I think there was one. I looked to see if Megan Rapinoe's had anything to say. Well, she's been a little Twitter silent. I can't imagine why. She hasn't had the best week.
She's got Subway commercials too. So
that's true. She does have Subway commercials. And Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever.
Hey, it's ESPN body issue going real life. So
that's okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. But if anyone I thought was going to say anything, it might have been her. But again, she's being real quiet, waiting for her current scandal to die down. And for those not aware of that, they dug up an a tweet directed to a fellow soccer player, Natasha Kai, which I'm paraphrasing, which was your eyes look very Asian with them closed, something to that effect.
Okay.
So not the worst thing. They probably know each other, but not the smartest thing to do
Publicly anyway.
Publicly, especially when you put forth the persona that she does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. I'll actually have more to talk about Megan in a little bit too.
Wow. Coming attractions on the rant.
Well, yeah, a little bit, because it sort of ties in up with Elevator Good or Elevator
Okay.
Up.
Elevator Up.
Which might be a little strange once I start. I don't think it's coming.
Elevator Good sounds like a caveman version. Elevator Good.
That's how it should have been. Elevator Good. Elevator Bad. So as we sort of progress, I looked more into the situation with South African runner Caster Semenya. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I am. Or Semenya. And so a few things I wasn't quite aware of. She's classified as a woman, but is really intersex. So from what my understanding, I could be wrong, but I think she's got like internal testes. And I'm just going to be blunt here and just say what it is she's got. Internal testes. And
this is a science show now, so continue.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, like both sets of genitalia.
Mm-hmm. She was born that way.
Born that way, which is very, very important. Right. So as we sort of like go further now, because of this, let's call this also what it is, a chemical advantage that she has. She's been very, very successful, has won Olympic gold in the past. Now her top discipline is the 800 meter. Now in 2018, let me just read this because I had this out so that I could understand this, because I was kind of confused when I just saw a little headline come up. It says Caster tries out for the 5,000 and fails. I'm thinking, why is she trying for the 5,000? And anyone who's watching, just watches track and field a little bit, knows that how you're built for the 800 and how you're built for the 5,000 is very, very different.
I am much more, not that I'm any sort of runner, I am much more built for the 5,000 than the 800. The 800 is not my event. That's for the cheetahs out there. Those of us who are capable of going at a decent speed for longer, that's the 5,000 is much more our event.
Yeah, I mean, just super lean muscle. I mean, you're not seeing those gigantic thighs that you would see in a sprinter. So what happened here? So in April 2018, the IAAF announced new rules that required athletes who have certain disorders of sex development. But long story short, they made it specific from the 400 to the 1,500. And that you would have to get your testosterone down to 5 nanomoles. I don't know what that is. 5 nanomoles per liter.
Science show.
Yeah, exactly. We've been getting so many guests. Like maybe I should have got like Bill Nye, or something like that.
I've met him before.
I have too.
Nice.
Yeah, and Jasper. Yeah. So, long story short, I mean, this was set up just for her, and they said, "Oh no, it wasn't." Of course it is. So it's the IAAF, which works in conjunction with the IOC. She doesn't want to take the testosterone blockers. She actually, apparently, she said she took it before and it hurt her like hell. And she said, "This is the way God made me." Okay. Now so this is a rule now created really to block one person.
Correct.
And unless there's some other intersex people who excel at the 800 that I'm not aware of, this only affects Caster. Doesn't affect anyone else. Now, with Laurel Hubbard, after this all happened, there was a lot of people saying Laurel Hubbard is a cheat. Laurel Hubbard's not a cheat. A cheat means you broke the rules. She didn't break a rule because the IOC put something in place that says you have to have it at 10 of those nanomoles of testosterone per whatever the fuck. I think that's the metric, is whatever the fuck.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what they're called. And beyond that for a year, which she did. So she's not a cheat. Does this make it right? No. I think most people know this. They don't want to say it. So what do we do here? We've created a system that blocked one person, and then it's allowing another entire group of other people to sort of come up who have an advantage. Laurel Hubbard will be the only person at the Olympics who's been told to dope so that she can compete, so that she can reduce an advantage.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because if you want to compete, you've got to dope. You've got to put something in your body that will reduce the advantage that you already have. Nobody else, unless the alternate from the BMX and the USA team is no longer an alternate, because there's one for the US and BMX. Chelsea Wolf, I believe, is her name. And there's going to be more. So there, at some point, an adult's got to come into the room and say, look, we know what this is. And how do I know that Laurel Hubbard has an advantage? Because she's 43. That's it. She's 43. It doesn't, I don't have to go any further than this. And I'm not going to. I will say that as the idea of sex and gender keeps evolving or devolving, depending on your point of view, I'm not here to tell you what's right. Personally, I think just live your best life as long as you're not hurting anybody. This does hurt a group of people. I know people don't want to hear it, but it does.
It does.
It does. So around this time, and I sort of learned of, I think the same day, and I've forgotten her name, doesn't matter. Someone from who plays pro soccer for Washington in the National Women's League.
Okay.
Came out as transgender.
Okay.
And also non-binary, which I don't mean to sound ignorant here, but I don't know how you're both. And if someone wants to educate me on that, please do. I don't actually understand that. She's from Japan. Kumi's her first name. And she's already had top surgery. Now, whether she's going to do anything more than that, I don't know. But apparently she had that way back in 2010.
Okay.
There's a player in the WNBA who was in this exact same position. Says that they're non-binary, but trans.
Okay.
Is there something in place in these leagues preventing testosterone? And if there's not, is that bigoted? Is this, because if both of them try to do this, now one's a very small, petite Japanese, I'm trying to respect the right pronouns, but I don't quite know when you're playing in a women's league. And the other one is in the WNBA. So it's a completely different build. Now, if they both want to take testosterone at that point, what do? Things are changing really fast. So I guess what I'm saying is figure this shit out and make it make sense.
Yeah.
I don't even know what side I'm on this, Evan, except for the one with Laurel Hubbard. I did see something that was on Good Morning Britain, where it was two people on the differing side, both transgender, actually talking about that. And the one who was against Laurel competing said, and I don't know why this can't work unless there's something I'm not thinking of. And again, please talk to me about this, because I'd like to hear other sides.
This is a tough issue. So continue.
Yeah. And so her take was, okay, 2 weeks after the Olympics, there's the Paralympics. As we're having a lot more trans people, non-binary, I don't, gender fluid, whatever. Is it that far off to say, well, we have a trans games? You're already set up.
I mean, that seems to be either you have a trans games or you have a trans category.
Or that.
Men's, women's, and trans, in which you have men who've gone to women and women who've gone to men in the same category.
Which then also adds all this other questions, because some trans women don't want to take estrogen or do any kind of and I talked to my friend who is she takes nothing.
Okay.
And she says, that's the way I am, and that's how it is. Now, not an athlete, so it doesn't really affect anything in her daily life.
Right.
But
I mean, I think there's going to have to be some sort of different measurement for that.
yes, because at some point, we're just going to have to stop worrying about offending people and just make a decision. Because right now, you're offending people.
Either both ways.
No matter what you do, you're going to offend somebody.
Yeah.
So figure this out. I know this is coming at really fast. I joked with a friend of mine, like 2.5 years ago when I was last in Canada, I'd never heard the term gender fluid or seltzer beer. or what was it? That Bud Light seltzer and shit like that.
Oh God. So completely random, but I 2 weeks ago I was working a local fair here for the Rotary, and we have a full bar, or we have a bar as part of it with beer and everything. But for the first time, we had the seltzers.
Mm-hmm.
We flew through those things, absolutely flew through them. I
Any
couldn't
good?
believe how many people were drinking them. I never had one. I don't know. First of all, it's Bud Light and seltzer. That's just two different types of water. So I don't know, but people just were like pounding them. We bought 20 extra cases and went through them. It's crazy.
Yeah. So things change. I don't know how to sort of like segue out of that to be something more comical. But because my next topic, if we want to go right to me or if we want to go to you, I'm starting off. Staying pretty serious for Elevator Up.
Well, you want me to get the death out of the way? It's real short this week, so we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, we should just do that. Always alternate.
Yeah, go back.
Unless we've got like a big death, which I hate. I hate thinking about that.
No, I know. We have been, and knock on whatever. I guess I have weird wood in front of me. So knock on whatever wood we have. We haven't had a big one in a while. We did lose one Hall of Famer from one of the major halls this week, but we'll get to him in a second. So first, we lost 3 people from the world of boxing this week. First of whom was silver medalist in the 1964 Summer Olympics at Tokyo, Silvio Bertini, passed away at the age of 81. We also lost Sergio Victor Palma, who in the Argentine, who is a World Boxing Association super bantamweight boxing champ from 80 to 82. He passed away from COVID at the age of 65. And finally, we lost Brian London, who's probably most famous for getting the crap kicked out of him by both Muhammad Ali and Floyd Patterson. So
I don't even remember that, man.
Yeah, he had 2 shots at the world title. One against Floyd Patterson in 59, who kicked the crap out of him, and one against Ali in 66. A 24-year-old Ali against a 32-year-old British white dude went exactly as you anticipated it would have gone.
The current heavyweight champion is, I believe, an early 30-something British white dude.
Yes, but an early 30-something British white dude in 2021 versus a 32-year-old British white dude in the pre-Austin Powers era are very, very different things.
Pre-Austin, nice.
Like just go look at a picture of the Traveling Wilburys from 1989 and realize that Roy Orbison is 50 in that picture. So
I had a recommended clip of All in the Family, Archie meets Meathead. I'm 4 years older than Carol O'Connor at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So,
and Tom Cruise never ages, but I do believe he eats fetuses.
Did Q tell you that? Sorry, no, I'm just leaving.
Did Q tell me?
Brian London passed away at the age of 87. I'm staying away from that one. We already have a political death this week. I want to talk about anyway.
Are we talking about that?
Yeah, just very briefly.
Okay.
From the world of music, we lost American trumpet player and composer John Hassel, who's best known for developing the concept of fourth world music.
I'm not
which
familiar with
has
that
to do
at
with-
all. What's that?
Basically takes primitive sounds and futuristic sounds. Imagine like native or indigenous people's music meets Enya or Vangelis.
I'm trying to.
It's hard. His album in 1980, Possible Musics, which he was a collaboration with Brian Eno, is I guess the main manifestation of this. But he also worked with Talking Heads, Peter Gabriel, Tears for Fears, Ani DeFranco, Ry Cooder, a whole bunch of other people like that. But John Hassel passed away at the age of 84.
If you're gonna say fourth world music and then say who they worked with, that's exactly the list I would have expected.
Yeah, Ani DeFranco and Peter Gabriel were going to have to be on that list.
Yeah, Brian Eno somewhere. I mean, like,
Right, yeah. Talking Heads.
Yeah.
So, Tears for Fears is a little surprising, but yeah, that's pretty much the list. So, but he was 84 and he passed away. Also passing away from the world of music, the guy who replaced Sebastian Bach as the lead singer of Skid Row, Johnny Solinger, passed away at the age of 55.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Sebastian Bach. I mean, I pretty much stopped paying attention to them in probably 1991.
Well, he replaced him in 1999. So
okay.
But much like you expected a lead singer of Skid Row, he passed away at the age of 55 of liver failure.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It does seem about right. So, anyway, so Johnny Solinger, like I said, 55 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We lost from the world at large, and I'll get back to the Hall of Famer in a second. Both Donald Rumsfeld and John McAfee passed away this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the more controversial white dudes of the last 25 years.
It's a pretty big pool.
It is a big pool, but they're towards the top of that, floating towards the top of that pool. Yeah. Rumsfeld passed away from cancer complications, and McAfee, after tweeting that if he's found dead, he didn't commit suicide, was found dead after allegedly committing suicide. So, in a prison cell in Barcelona.
Yeah, there's some political podcasts that can explain that far better. I have no clue, man.
I have no idea either, but I just the world at large. Those are two folks who passed away. But I guess the person who I guess is the headliner of this week, if a dubious distinction, is 2013 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee Jack Ingram, who passed away at the age of 84.
Wow.
So Ingram was the two-time winner of the Busch Grand National Series, in 82 and 85. He led the league or led the series and wins in 82, 85, and 86. Most widely remembered for driving his Skoal Bandit car. But what's interesting about Ingram is that he won 31 races during his career. But most of his races, or almost all of his races, happened between the ages of 45 and 50. Oh, wow. Which is old for a race car driver. But he was a 72 champion in the late model sports car division, 72 and 73 and 74, actually, as well as 82, and then was the 82 and 85 champion for the Busch Grand National Series, and the 82 most popular driver. International's Motorsports Hall of Famer 2007, NASCAR Hall of Famer actually 2014. He was first nominated in 2013.
Okay. When you say Skoal Bandit, I always think of Harry Gant, but I guess that would have been after.
Yeah. So anyway, so Ingram, back when we used to really have a NASCAR section, which I did back in 2010.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Still up there.
It's still up there. It hasn't changed because I just did drivers because I mean they elect crew chiefs and sponsors and owners, and it's just too hard to figure out.
Well, that's no different than all the other stuff I've got. I mean, like I don't rank. At some point, I probably should have a women's section for hockey and basketball, but I get some messages. How about this? How about do this? No one's ever asked me to do it.
Right.
So for all due respect to the women athletes in those sports, there's just not a lot of demand for it. And frankly, I have to focus on ones that's going to drive traffic.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And I will get there one day.
Yeah, I have a big spider crawling across the wall right in front of me.
Is it named Boris?
If we're Boris, he'd be dead and squashed.
Boris the spider.
Yeah, he's over there. Anyway, all right. So anyway, that is my death roll for the week. Fortunately, we've had some very short ones recently, which is
I like it. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yep.
So I guess our next section, our regular section, it's elevator up, elevator down. And what that basically means is who in the past week has kind of done something that gives their Hall of Fame chances a little bit of an elevator up. There's some easy ones I could do in the world of hockey for elevator up as awards have come out with Connor McDavid, but I've already talked about that. Marc-Andre Fleury won the Vezina. But I wanted to do something really sort of interesting. Oh, actually, before I do that, Wild Stallions music was supposed to change the world and bring it all together. But last week's elevator up, Britney Spears has got Fox and CNN saying the same thing. Free Britney. Britney Spears is the person who is going to unite your country.
Well, instead they freed Bill Cosby instead. So,
well, they just heard the bus part.
Yeah, I got the free Britney. Wait, what'd you say? Oh, Bill Cosby. Yeah, that sounds good.
Apparently, some news source, I didn't see who it was. They when they were reporting on Cosby today, they said, and Bill Clinton was acquitted or released. Oops, I don't know who it was, but it's like, thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, elevator up. I got one that maybe you won't see coming.
Okay.
All right. And I don't rank those who are not in this particular Hall of Fame or the other ones. Just again, it's all about what I can sort of get to and what people want to see. There's the U.S. Track and Field Hall of Fame, and there's actually a Civil Rights Hall of Fame.
Okay.
For the first time, people know a hammer thrower. Gwen Berry. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people who hate what she did. And for those unaware, what she did is at the U.S. Track and Field, the Olympic trials, she placed third, which was good enough to earn a spot on the Olympic team. Now, she's been in the Olympics before. She's 31, and her age will sort of be important as I sort of go on here with this, because this is probably her last shot. Maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows? Sorry, I can't tell you the timeline for hammer throwers.
No, but once you're past 30, you know, the clock is ticking.
You start getting old man strength, though, or old lady strength, maybe.
Possibly. Anyway, so she had what can best be described as a temper tantrum. And why she did was because the U.S. national anthem was played. Now, she was under the impression that it was going to be played at 5:20. She was out there at 5:25. I tried to find footage of like what was going on around, like live footage to see if there was other podiums and other stuff like that. The U.S. Track and Field Association said they were not trying to set her up. She felt set up.
Agreed. And
going back to who she was and what she did previously, in 2019, she raised her fist.
Which is now outlawed in the IOC.
Right. And when she won the gold at the Olympics. Now, I've said on the show many times, I am all about free speech. I believe in that, even if the speech isn't great. So I support Gwen Berry on this. However, I meant what I said in the word temper tantrum. She had her t-shirt ready, which said athlete activist. So she was ready to have that. I guess sort of like post out on her Instagram, because let's be honest, who's really, you're not really seeing it.
Right.
You know, at that point, she was swaying. She was clearly looks miserable. She looked pissed off, and there was no doubt in her mind. And she's pretty much said it on her social media, but this was all about her. Was it? I doubt it. It's possible because people are petty. I can be petty.
There are a lot of people who are petty.
Yeah. But did they just deliberately wait at that point just so that they could do that? She's convinced they did. And even if they did, well, it's kind of their right to do so. You handle it badly. Very, very badly. But you got what you wanted in many ways.
True.
Your name is in my mouth. It's on Fox's mouth. You got on The View.
Yeah, members of Congress who are talking about it.
Yes, members of Congress talked about it. The first thing that CNN put out was actually very balanced when they came out with it. And then when Dan Crenshaw said, kick her off the team. And then, of course, well, what about the people on January 6th? We don't want to get too political, but long story short, this survived more than 24 hours in a news cycle. People are going to be watching what you do. Now, I don't know how you're going to handle it from here. I really don't. You're off, in my opinion, you're not off to a great, not that you give a shit what I think. Frankly, you shouldn't. Doesn't matter what I think. I don't think you got off to a great start because I think you came off like a narcissist. I don't know if you are one. I really don't know. You could be very emotional. Don't know. But now your voice, the voice that you wanted to have, people are hearing it. What are you going to do?
Right. Well, what's the next step?
Right. So, and that's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. There have been many activists who, once they got paid, became hypocrites.
I have one that I know you're going to bring up right now.
No, I'm not going to bring it up.
Okay.
Good.
I actually, when you started this talking about that, I was wondering if you're going to go, and maybe it's just because you're a Hall of Famer, but they announced the first ever Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
With Carmel? Yeah, I don't see how that helps anyone get into a Hall of Fame, though.
Who knows? I was just wondering if that's where you're going.
No. I mean, like, I'm not going to go in because there have been people who've been full activists, got paid, got a lot of money, and you don't see them in the community they're trying to help. And that's not just athletes. That's a lot of people. And their tune has changed, and then you wonder what have they really done? Right. Like I've already talked about this. I don't feel the need to talk about it again. So what are you going to do? Not a lot of people are really supporting you. Not that I can see anyway. Michael Johnson came out and did, but it wasn't really necessarily a support. Is I support you for having the right to do it, kind of like I just did.
Right.
So are you the type of person that really wants to help raise awareness and really do something about the unjust policing in the United States? Or are you looking for a paycheck?
Fair enough.
And I don't know which one it is.
Well, we'll find out.
Either way, you've now become a name. And even if you are someone looking for a paycheck, you could still get in some of these Hall of Fames. You're now famous. I hope you do something really good with this. I really do. I don't know whether you will or not. I don't know. We'll see. For all I know, we'll never talk about her again.
Interesting elevator up. All right, who's your elevator down then? I think I have an idea.
Yes, yeah, because I sort of sent off a thing with this, and it's a pitcher who's also not having a good week. It is Trevor Bauer, former Cy Young Award.
There don't appear to be very many pitchers having good weeks who are not named DeGrom or Ohtani.
That's very true. That's very true. Yes, Garrett Cole. He's kind of lost something. I don't know what it could be.
I'm sure they'll spin it some way.
Well done.
Hey, the good news is he's only got 7 years and $200-something million left on that contract.
But yes, Mr. Bauer, last year's Cy Young Award winner, and Cy Young is by no means a guarantee for the Hall of Fame at all.
Correct.
He's got a current career B WAR of 20.4, especially when you get the Cy Young on a 60-game season.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, it's not that I like the term asterisk. There's the asterisk.
Yeah,
it's there. We know it's there. He got in trouble because someone he was with for a short period of time said that he beat her up. Let's put it in the most.
In April, so very recently.
Okay, it was April. Okay, I didn't even read the date of that. So, very recently, and he says, "Well, it was just rough sex." We've seen this play out before. usually, and again, not always, because let's let this play out. Usually when this happens, it's not, this isn't good. It's usually not that consensual. She had black eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just a few years ago where maybe you could still find a way to get away with it. This is bad. This could cost him a lot. He was a fringe guy anyway for the Hall. He would have to have a great decade remaining if he has that, because he's 30, 31 with a BWAR of 20.4.
Mm-hmm. He'll never get to be a Blue Jays ambassador now. That's a shot at Robbie Alomar for those.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So he's my obvious elevator down.
So here's a question for you, because we talk about CTE as almost a coverall for domestic violence within the NFL. We talk about a lot and what contributing factor. Yeah. We have had a rash of MLB players with sexual misconduct stuff just in the last couple of years. I mean, we've had a couple in the last couple of weeks with Ozuna from the Braves and now Bauer. What's going on? Like we can't blame CTE for this. So
rash of assholes. I don't know. I've never understood. I didn't think we were going to talk. I'll bring up Cosby just because that's really topical right now.
Right.
I will never understand when you are someone in a position, and it can be for women too, but generally it's a man in a position of power with money and good looks, and you don't have to work really to get women or sexual, because you can play it the other way, or it doesn't matter whether it's gay or just any kind of sexual attention. It's pretty goddamn easy.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this then manifest itself into these weird places? Cosby liked to drug people, okay? Bauer likes to beat them up. Allegedly. Let's put allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm not really worried about Cosby coming after my money, please. Yeah.
He's still got Felicia Rashad on his side, so that's all that matters to him, I guess.
Yeah. You got me speechless. Usually you're the one who wants to tap out of dumb things I say.
Yeah, well,
not that I'm saying you're saying anything dumb.
No, I understand. I'm gonna be interested to see how Howard University reacts to that response.
I saw something about this. Somebody tweet about that.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Because again, not going to Cosby thing and whether it's right or wrong, it's one of the few times ever where, and maybe because he's a rich guy, that an African American had his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination held up by a Supreme Court.
Probably.
And this has nothing to do with whether or not he's guilty.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. It's all procedural.
Sure. Well, to your point, and yeah, you might be right. That might be the first time that's ever happened. I said to my dad today, white privilege exists, but it's nothing like green privilege.
Yeah. Green privilege is
the ultimate privilege of them all, which it is. And that used to know a color. It's still biased towards one, but
why does Elon Musk care about global warming? He's going to have his own rocket ship to Alpha Centauri.
But it's a strange thing. And let's say hypothetically, again, this is all alleged. I mean, this could be, I'll say something controversial. Me Too is one of the best things that ever happened. One of the best hashtags that ever happened. Believe all women isn't. Because sometimes people lie.
People do lie.
People do lie. And this is not a case with Cosby at 58. This is a thing between one. So Trevor Bauer could be completely telling the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I doubt it. But he could be. That's exceptionally possible.
They both agree it started consensually. What happened afterwards is where
right.
It's not. Yeah.
This is going to follow him for the rest of his life. Period.
Oh, agreed. 100%.
So his stain he's got a perpetual stain, let's say. So let's say he comes out of this, he's found innocent, has another great decade, and maybe puts himself in that fringe conversation for Hall of Fame. There's going to be a lot of people who might potential voters saying, I'm not voting for this guy.
Well, here's a question for you.
Sure.
Adrian Peterson. Is he going to make the Hall of Fame when he retires as a first ballot?
Yes.
He hasn't done anything nearly as impressive as he did before he had the charge of beating his own child about the buttocks and genitals with a belt. So
it's a different perception of how people look at it. Beating your kids, because there's still some people who think you should spank your kids. Not a lot. But
I think there's also a difference between spanking and hitting a 4-year-old with a belt.
Sure. But everything comes back to how people perceive it to be.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson is one of everyone just loves. Oh, it's Mike. Mike was convicted of rape.
Yeah.
And everyone loves Mike. Megan Rapinoe, who we just talked about right now, is made one dumb joke. And I'll just point out, she's not a racist. There's no way that Megan Rapinoe is a racist. She's not a cover model either, but she's not a racist. Right. So anyone thinking that, but they're having too much fun just trying to drag her down. And I understand why, but anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
I was going to say, I mean, all you need to know about Mike Tyson is, and the greatest opening to any awards show of all time is the 2013 Tonys. Just go look it up. It's ridiculous. Okay. But in the middle of 2013 Tonys, Neil Patrick Harris said, I've watched that thing like 100 times. They introduced Mike Tyson because he had a one-man show that year on Broadway.
Oh, okay. So
and then all of Radio City Music Hall wildly cheers when he comes up. This is a guy we know at least committed assault and maybe cannibalism in the ring, and definitely was convicted of rape and spent time in jail. And one of the most left-leaning audiences you can possibly have gave him like a full ovation.
It's interesting who we forgive and why.
Very much so. And
who we want to demonize and why. And I will never be able to figure this out. As long as we keep talking, you know, I'll never pick up the pattern. Never.
Yeah.
I'll never get it.
So anyway, okay. Yeah, Trevor Bauer, definite elevator down. Like we're talking that cord is there. The two cords, one is snapped, the other is fraying, and it's going back and forth a little bit in the shaft with Bauer.
It is. We'll see how that one plays out. The best thing actually to happen to him today was Cosby.
Yeah. Talk about bearing the Yeah, you got very fortunate that way. Otherwise, it'd be dominating everything. So,
we're just whipping right through this one today, huh?
We are.
All these dark topics.
We started late because I was signing up for my first. I had to do it by the end of the day because I had an expiring code. But I'm signing up for my first ever, or not my first ever, my first Spartan race in about 4 years. Because I had been off for a few years. I was going to do it last May, and clearly I couldn't do it last May. But it expired tonight. So I actually had to get that done before we got on the air. And I'm actually doing my first 10K Spartan race in Nashville in October. So I'll be exciting.
Oh,
so all fans of the show, come out. I'll sign autographs, whatever you want.
Nice. And
we may have a sponsor now.
Yeah, we'll have one. And for a special draw, he'll even sign the number. I guess because it could be assigned a number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll even sign it, and I will get a frame for it.
Oh wow! All right, sounds good. So yeah, come see me October 2nd in Nashville, or actually Lebanon, Tennessee, at the 10K race.
All right, I gotta ask, how come you're doing that in Tennessee, not why?
There aren't any.
Oh. Well, okay. Well, that's a good enough reason.
So the money, there aren't any scheduled in Illinois. So the code that I used had to be used for a 2021 race.
Okay.
So there's one in rural Indiana, which isn't that far, but that's really the closest one and not that exciting. I was talking to some of my buddies who I used to run it with. One of my buddies, Ken, lives in Boston, just getting off knee surgery, actually. Another one, my buddy Frank, lives in Colorado. And Frank happened to be going to Nashville that week anyway
Mhm.
to meet up with two of his other buddies who he used to run Spartan races with. So now we're all just going to run a Spartan race together. So,
Okay, cool.
so
Awesome.
maybe 5 of us, at least 3, maybe 5. So
And when's that?
October 2nd.
Okay.
So anyway,
Living in the tropics, although I don't know for how much longer. I tend to forget what month it is.
it's frog season. I can hear them. So
Yeah, the whistling frogs are back because it is rainy season. Yeah, they were gone for a few months. I didn't miss them.
it has been rainy season here. We've gotten we were down 9 inches of rain at this point in the season, and we've gotten 7 inches in the last 5 days here in Chicago. It's been nuts.
Wow, weather is absolutely insane. But
anyway,
so we close off with Evan's good, the bad, and the ugly of sports for the week.
well,
what do we got?
Just one. So one quick good that happened tonight, which isn't what I'm going to talk about. Just congratulations to Mississippi State for their first ever College World Series title, of 1 hitter over Vanderbilt. It sucks that NC State never got the chance to play that game. The whole thing was awful.
Jesus, that was almost my shit box.
Yeah.
Because again, like, make it make sense. So the 4 people who were vaccinated could have actually gone into the full stands and watched the game, but they can't play.
My office. So Illinois is entirely open. My building is open.
Mhm.
But my office company policy is we have to wear masks when walking the hallway. But as soon as I enter a room with somebody else that's not the public area, I can take it off.
Okay.
So I don't have to wear it coming from my car, up the elevator, but as soon as I get to the lobby, I have to wear it. As soon as I get to my office to take it off, if somebody else walks in my office, they could take theirs off. We could talk, but they have to put it back on. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not. No one wants to hear about this stuff because, God damn it, I'm so sick of talking about this of masks, vaccines.
Yeah. Anyway, so all right, so we're gonna do the good to start with. We're going to go to something that's happening tomorrow. And that's they were forced to do it, but the NCAA is going to allow student athletes to profit from their likeness. Finally,
I love it. Ed O'Bannon somewhere needs
Ed O'Bannon just got himself in the some sort of Hall of Fame. I don't know which one it should be, but
it's not Kurt Flood level, but maybe it is.
I actually think it's above Kurt Flood level because at least
I think about it.
Because at least the baseball players are being paid something.
Yeah.
So this could be a big year for Reggie Bush. He could get into College Football Hall of Fame and get his Heisman back.
He should have lost in the first place.
Oh no, of course he shouldn't have lost in the first place. But I mean, if they've changed this rules and it's been determined that it was bullcrap in the first place, UMass has gotten to do a Final Four. Louisville shouldn't have to, if North Carolina's academic scandal, fine, you do whatever. But Marcus Camby accepting a $200,000 necklace has nothing to do with competitive balance.
Right.
Having players fake taking the classes they're supposed to take or creating a fake class for them to take in order to keep them eligible. If they wouldn't otherwise be eligible, that does affect competitive balance. That one I have no issue with. But UMass should never lose that. I mean, if you go back over everything, someone asked a question online, what player would have made the most money during their college days if they could have done their likeness? And I still think it may be Reggie Bush.
Well, I mean, every year there's so many different people. I'm thinking of
Tebow. Tebow at Florida, maybe.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I'm thinking of right now of a player who I don't know that it would have made that much of a difference, but I want to say Lattimore. Who was the player from South Carolina or was it Clemson who was a really good running back and then got hurt?
Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah, Marshawn
Lattimore. Okay. The other person too I'm thinking of is Maurice Claret.
There's another good one.
Who really,
another kind of forgotten trailblazer, honestly.
it still didn't really go anywhere.
It didn't work, right? But still.
But that's sort of the one thing. I mean, I'm not to get too political. I believe in the concept of meritocracy and capitalism to a certain degree, but the NCAA is allowed to say, no. And Maurice Clark basically said, like, yeah, but I'm good enough to play right now, which he probably was.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Anyway, but yeah, that's an excellent good.
Yeah. So that I'm just glad that it's happening. So, and by the way, the Lightning Bolts are up 2-0 now in the series. So they won 3-1. So
of course, I knew they were screwed once Trudeau said, "Hey, you want to make a bet?" Like, you even know anything about hockey, a douchebag? I hate you. Oh, you know who my new favorite person is right now? Matthew Perry. Because I found an interview that he did in Kimmel where apparently 3.5 years, or he said 3.5 years ago on this interview, as little kids, he beat up Justin Trudeau. I don't care. You know what, Matthew? I know you've got some problems. I'm sure. The next line's on me, buddy.
Can I say a joke that you're free to edit out?
I don't want to edit anything, so no, please don't make me edit.
I won't.
Okay, now I want to hear it.
I'll tell you after.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know if I really want to go there, but anyway.
Because I set the bar so high.
Yeah, well, I just don't know if I want a recording of the words coming out of my mouth. So, anyway, so that was our elevator. Sorry, not elevator. That was our good for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Our bad for the week. I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and I'm just going to go to a simpler time.
2018?
April 30th, 2021. The Arizona Diamondbacks at that point were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're 14-12, and they had just won 5 of their last 6 and 9 of their last 11 games.
Mm-hmm.
Since that time, the Arizona Diamondbacks, who lost again tonight, have gone 8-48. I repeat, 8-48.
Oh, I wasn't even aware of that.
And they lost a major league record 24 consecutive road games.
That's bad. I wasn't even aware they were this bad.
They won 10-1 on Saturday against San Diego. I saw this last week. I didn't want to say anything about it because they had been at home. They were on the verge of tying the record. They had just tied the record on the 17th of June. And then they had a 6-game homestand. They lost their first game in San Diego 11-5 on Friday, which broke the record. They then won a game and have since lost the next 4 games on the road trip. So they have gone 1-28 in their last 29 games, which seems impossible in the last 29 road games.
Did they sign Chris Davis and I missed it?
Torey Lovullo, who's their coach, is the guy who I wanted to be the Red Sox coach after we kept what's his name? Farrell 1 year longer than I wanted to because Farrell had cancer. And because Farrell had cancer, Lovullo, who had been our minor league coach and our bench coach, got signed by Arizona. And I was like, oh, that stinks. We have a guy we're clearly going to fire after the season. And we lost out on Lovullo. And Lovullo, I think, is a very, very good manager. But, they've had losing streaks during this time of 6. Hold on. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And now they've won 2 of their last 10.
Well, at least with the Suns doing so well, there is not a lot of people.
Yeah, nobody's paying any attention to them, but they are now 22-60 after being 14-12.
Since this isn't going to be a spoiler, just for me, what's the score right now in the NBA game?
The Suns are up 20 points.
All right.
They're up. Sorry, they're up 26 points. It's gone up. It was 112.92, and now it's 118-92.
Okay, cool.
So
All right. So yeah,
the clip show. The clip show is over. Hey, they've made it further than they ever have in their team's history. Congratulations.
Yeah.
One of the great ridiculous streaks in sports history is over.
Mm-hmm.
Right up there with I think my favorite one before that was Tampa Bay Buccaneers hadn't returned a punt for a touchdown for the first 30-something years of their existence.
I remember that.
That's a crazy stat. And this one, that's another one that just happened. So anyway, also good. Yeah, also good to know, by the way, that during the World Cup or during the European Cup, that who was it? Portugal had never beaten. It was a matchup. It was Portugal had never beaten. It was somebody had never beaten somebody in the history. And it was like the good team had never beaten the team you wouldn't expect them. It was the Netherlands had never beaten Czech Republic ever in soccer. They'd lost like the last few times. I was like, that seems
the Czech Republic.
Yeah, and the Czech Republic beat them again in the knockout stages. They've tied them a bunch of times. But they hadn't beaten them the last 7 times they played them. It was crazy.
England ended that streak too against Germany, where I sent you a picture.
You did
of a Leicester flag right where I was.
You did.
Yeah.
So,
well,
anyway,
I figure I had to send you some kind of like uniform gear that you weren't going to get upset.
Hey, well, I have to say, after you were worried about your draft, we each have in the final 8. We each have 4 teams left.
Yeah.
I have Italy, Denmark, Czech Republic, and Spain, and you have Switzerland, Belgium, England, and Ukraine.
So
we'll see what happens.
We both have 2 heavyweights left.
Yeah, well, you got England playing Ukraine somewhere outside of England for the first time in this tournament, which will be interesting. I have Italy and it's Italy, Belgium, Switzerland, and Spain, and Czech Republic and Denmark. So we're each guaranteed at least 1 team remaining.
Cool.
For the next round.
It'll be continue to be a fun tournament. So I don't quite know what you're ugly. I know you told me the sport, but I don't. I think I know, but we'll see.
When is the last time you have heard of a spectator being arrested of a sporting event for injuring multiple people in the event?
Does this happen in the Tour de France?
The very first opening of the very first leg of the Tour de France.
Yeah.
They've gone 0.1, 0.2 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a 30-year-old German woman holding a handmade cardboard sign that says "Alle Omi e Opi," saying "Go Grandma and Grandpa," that they held out in front of the peloton, took out one of the riders in the front of the peloton, and that rider took out a whole bunch of other people. 2 people had to retire from the Tour de France. One guy finished the leg. She broke like tons of bikes. A whole bunch of people were hurt. One guy had to retire right away. One of the guys who finished got to the end of the first leg, got his arms x-rayed, and had broken both of his radiuses and still finished the leg.
I shouldn't laugh, but that's insane. So they arrested her.
No, yeah. They arrested her, and they're going to charge her with interfering in this in an effort to try and get people to stop doing this. Like, the Tour de France is the Tour de France of all the sporting events is the one that has the most opportunity for fans to go crazy. You'll see them running in costumes behind the leaders, like tapping them on the back, and like, it's just kind of crazy. And so this lady has been arrested. She's facing 2 years in prison and a fine of $35,000 US.
All right, so I don't even know how I feel about this in terms of whether she should get her. I guess if I was more of a cycling fan, I'd say yes, but I don't know.
People like it's you just go look up Tour de France crash 2021.
Then I might
have see it. And so she is. They're not releasing her name other than saying that she's a 30-year-old woman. But yeah, they broke, like, Yasha Sutherland had to be taken to the hospital with a crushed hand, and Mark Soler finished the stage but had fractures in both arms from this thing. Like they're those bicycles, several snapped.
All to say,
bicycles.
So like I guess the one guy got a cast. Some of them must have casts. Maybe grandma and grandpa should sign it. Since like I don't know. Jesus. Please follow up on this one because I want to know how this goes. I know I'll forget, but I'm fascinated to see. Oh, wow, that's a good one, Evan.
I mean, this is this. I know I've been railing on fan interactions over the last month and a half, pretty much. I mean, like, they've been real bad. This is one that I don't think has anything to do with us getting back after 2021. This is one that has been brewing with the Tour de France for years.
Yeah. It sounds like
I'm shocked it never happened before now.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing with fire, and eventually, it's just gonna get out of control. Yeah, you're right. They've been lucky for a long time. It's almost like when that brawl happened. Actually, that'd be a good thing to do in a classic sports review. The Malice at the Palace game. When it's that easy to get onto the court and for athletes to get into the stands, how has that not happened more often? I mean, it's happened in hockey a few times, and that's hard to do it.
Well, I mean, there's a reason basketball players are called cagers, because they used to literally have a cage around the court in the old days.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they used to literally have a cage around the court to separate the fans from the players, but then if the ball went out of bounds, wasn't the greatest, so they eliminated it. But back in the 30s and 40s when they were playing it, there wasn't much worry about the ball going too far out of bounds and people diving for it, if you know what I mean. Nobody had invented the jump shot yet. But yeah, that's I mean, the Malice of Palace. What was the one where I can't remember who went in the hockey game where they went into the stands.
It's got to be a Bruin who did that.
It sounds like Rick Middleton.
Yeah.
But went into the stands and I mean, it's crazy. It doesn't happen more.
There's one, I think it was a Leaf or something, where the guy got onto the ice, which is impressive in itself, and then charged the bench. And then there's these three guys just pummeling the shit out of him. Like, why do people do what they do? They should just be drunk like I am. I just hover over myself.
Alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Yeah. And since I keep owing you all this beer when I meet you, I'm getting some for myself. Yeah, you'll have to protect me. I might do something. No, I won't do anything dumb. You've seen me drunk already. It's usually just me doing nothing. Well, this came to a crawl. So I guess we can sort of end it on that.
Well, at least I think we're doing better than the Clippers. Clippers are now down 24 with 2 minutes left.
Well, I already know my elevator down for next week. That made it very easy.
Someone put if the Suns, why can't I think of his name, from Chicago, the Bears guy, who was in our group.
Oh, Jack. Okay. Yeah.
Jack put, what if the Suns lose a series, what will Chris Paul best be known for? And
I saw that. Yeah,
I did the nut punch of Randall during the NC State Wake Forest game back in 2008. But yeah, he's gonna make the finals, and I put the Suns as big favorites over either the Hawks or the potentially injured. I mean, Trae Young's injured and Giannis is injured.
Yeah. Chris Paul will get most of the credit, but guys, please don't sleep on Devin Booker. I know that no matter how if Devin Booker doubles Paul statistically, they're going to want to give it to Chris Paul, the NBA Finals MVP. This is very reminiscent of when Wes Unseld won the Finals MVP.
Is a Lifetime Achievement Award?
It might feel a bit like that. It's a minor prediction, but we'll see. I don't know.
Paul does have 41 points in this game.
On this game, okay.
He's 41. Booker's got 22. Crowder, who I still miss on the Celtics, is 19. Ayton's got 16.
Yeah, but
I do want to say, like, Ayton has also been an absolute revelation in this.
Oh, okay. You know what? Let's talk. Okay, here's where we'll finish up. Jalen Rose.
Oh yeah.
All right. So this could, I thought this had a chance to be, or more if you did the good, the bad, the ugly, and the what the fuck. And all right,
Christian, all I have to say ahead of time before we go on this, Christian Leitner's just retired. That's all you need to know. So
I'll admit that when Kevin Love got named to Team USA, I thought, it almost is why I thought, you know what, I'll take the field, because Kevin Love has been garbage this year. He's been old. He's running out. I don't know what he necessarily brings to the table of Team USA, but I can't say that I ever thought. I don't know, when they were naming the team, I didn't look to see, okay, black, white, black. I didn't think of it. Why would I?
Right.
Jalen did, and didn't imply, he pretty much said he said, and then took it back, but he didn't take it back. So, okay. He's there because he's white and he's a token. And then he said, well, why isn't DeAndre Ayton on this team? Which, that's a damn good question. That's a very good question. So, let's since this
I would like to point out that the 2016 U.S. Olympic team was entirely African American.
Which team? 2016?
2016 team.
Okay. All right. So like I was gonna, since I knew we weren't gonna go there, I didn't really look up because I figured there had to be an all black Team USA. Had to be.
The last Olympics team.
Okay. So yeah. Why is Kevin on this team? They just want a veteran presence. They want to do him a favor.
I know what happened here. My computer started playing an ad on one of the things on the background. I apologize.
That happens all the time.
Loaves, if you want to give us money, we'll play more of your ads. So the last team, I'll read you the last team. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan, Kyle Lowry, Harrison Barnes, DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Paul George, Draymond Green, Carmelo Anthony. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know why Kevin's on this team, but is it possible that sometimes you just sort of like think maybe some veterans do, and they're going to bring something to the table? Like, yeah. It doesn't have to necessarily be that it's because Kevin Love is white. I don't see that. Now, with what I said earlier with the whole thing with Caster Semenya, I can make that case a lot easier. That we've got, that it's a black woman from a country that is not exactly a power force in the IOC. I could definitely make that. Mm-hmm. This one, I feel bad for Kevin Love a bit, but then he also didn't have to accept it. There's way better players than you.
Yeah, he did not have to accept it. So
no,
there are several better candidates. Mm-hmm. And it's not just Ayton, who I would have put on that team. I'm looking at the age of the people on the roster. So Durant's 32. Draymond and Drew Holiday and Damian Lillard are all 31. Love's 32. Middleton's 29. It's not like this is a super young team. Like Jason Tatum's the youngest at 23. Bam Adebayo's 24. Devin Booker's 24. But then Zach LaVine 26. Jeremy Grant, that's another one that's interesting. 27. Well, Bradley Beal 28. Zach, yeah. I mean, it's like Chris Middleton 29. So they're all like late 20s, early 30s, except for Tatum and Adebayo.
Love also is not exactly someone I think of as, all right, well, here's my leader.
Yeah,
I like
certainly
Kevin Love, but he's not that guy. He's not this rah guy that you're going to almost want to play around him and he's going to inspire you to do better.
Interestingly, he was one of the final people who was cut from the 2016 team.
Okay,
the last cuts for 2016 were Michael Conley, Kenneth Farid, Rudy Gay, Dwight Howard, Andre Iguodala, and Love.
Do we even know, were there last cuts on this, or they just put a team together?
I feel like they just put a team together and then some people were injured. Like Harden withdrew because he had originally committed to play. I feel like Harden's spot was taken by Love.
Those are two players I always think of at the same time.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. This could have been a spot where, you joked about Leitner. Well, maybe that's your Leitner spot that you give to some young up and coming prodigy that maybe you think is going to do something. Well, if Zion wasn't hurt, that might have been where that would have been great. But Zion's not a prodigy; he's already a star.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think who that'd even be this year.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a 12-man team. Player 11 and 12 aren't going to get a lot of minutes. Love's not a type of player who's going to get hot at this point.
So Love is player 12. Who's player 11? That's a good question. Is it Jeremy Grant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That might be a good thing. Oh shit. I'm going to come up with a number for next week, and it's going to be an over/under in how many minutes Jeremy Grant plays.
Ooh.
I don't know. I got to really look at this and try and come up with something. Obviously, I'm going to play Vegas odds maker.
Okay.
Because obviously I want to make it so hard that I'm giving you a 50-50 shot.
Fair enough.
All right. That might be a lot of fun. And we do have a little bet. As much as I always cheer for US and basketball unless Canada's playing. I have the field. Evan's got the USA.
Fine. I feel good. Our group is Iran, France, and whoever wins the OQT winner from Victoria,
which could be Canada.
Yeah. So.
Well, but as the Iron Sheik says, Iran, number one. So, you might be right.
Could be. Well, hold on. Let's take a look at where we are with Victoria here.
Yeah, I don't think they've started that. Oh, wait a minute. Have they?
No, they did start tournament. Canada's 2-0 so far.
All right.
Because both Greece and China.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then the next group is Turkey is 1-0, having beaten Uruguay. And with the third team, Czech Republic. The next one is Mexico has beaten Russia and lost to Germany. So they're leading. So Russia is currently in last place. And then the last group, Brazil has beaten both Tunisia and Croatia. So
I always felt bad for Uruguay because it's got to be so hard knowing that you're half as good as a Paraguay. Because there's two, okay.
Yeah, very good. Uruguay is the Belgium of South America. In that, like, Belgium is stuck between Germany and France, like the big guys on the continent. And Uruguay is like between Argentina and Brazil. So anytime they have to have some sort of meeting, they meet in Uruguay, so nobody gets offended. Paraguay is an interesting place too, though. They once fought a war. So here you go. Here is your South American history lesson of the day.
And that's where we'll close off.
That's where we'll close. There was a part of South America that was completely unclaimed by any team, or by any country.
Okay.
It was in between Paraguay and Bolivia. Okay. Exxon decided that they thought oil was there. So Paraguay and Bolivia fought a war over this land that has so impassable, nobody had ever claimed it before. Paraguay won and then determined that there was no oil. The result was a civil war And in between the war between Bolivia and the civil war in Paraguay, 1/3 of the adult male population of Paraguay was dead.
Over what? Would they have a civil war over?
Over the fact that they had a war over a land that was useless that nobody wanted in the first place.
So they had a war over a war.
Correct. That left 1/3 of the adult male population of Paraguay dead. All because Exxon's like, hey, nobody owns this land. I bet there's oil.
Think about that next time you pump gas.
Exactly. So yeah, the South American history is ridiculous, and we never learn anything about it. Someday, if you really just are interested, go look up why England and Argentina fought over the Falkland Islands, or better yet, find out why the king of Bolivia, yes, Bolivia once had a king, why the king of Bolivia sold their last access to the sea and landlocked them for all eternity for the price of 6 white horses. Actually happened.
And maybe he thought it was wild horses because wild horses couldn't drag them away, but white horses, maybe they could. Yeah,
their problem was they weren't air flight hadn't been invented. They couldn't figure out how to get to their landlocked little space on the from their landlocked country. So.
Oh my God, I guess that should be my regular show number 5, South American history with Evan.
Oh God, if I'm ever famous enough to be on Drunk History. Like, if I'm ever famous to be on that show, and it's not looking good. I'm 42. The odds are not in my favor. But if I ever am that famous, I am just doing the Falkland Islands and why Argentina and England fought a war over them in 1982.
Saw that on The Crown.
No, just the history of why they fought over these 2 identical, almost shaped islands that snows 9 months out of the year and 99% of the land you can't grow anything on. So.
Well, Iran and Iraq fought over a letter for 10 years. It's an N. It's a Q. It's an N. It's a Q.
That is tough.
Yeah. All right. And on that bad joke, let's end this.
I ran so far away.
Love that.
Or the one that I made up. I can't believe no one else did this when we invaded Iraq back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a parody song about a soldier who was over there like, what the hell are we doing here? Mm-hmm. Saying, this is Iraq. I'm from Rhode Island. All about a guy who's just stuck in Basra during a firefight, wondering what the hell he's doing there. To Simon and Garfunkel. So, anyway.
Nice. Stay safe, everybody. There's a lot of other shows on Not in Hall of Fame. Hey,
that's all you do now. It's ridiculous. All you do is other shows. It's crazy.
Yes, there's the Classic Sports Review. Evan was a guest on the last one. We take a look at the beginning of Patriots history, of modern Patriots history.
Mm-hmm.
I can certainly argue that. And we had another special guest with a two-time Hall of Famer, the Violator, Wayne Mabry.
Who is not nearly as angry as I thought he was going to be. I was hoping he was going to just go off, and he's too nice. The man called the Violator with the face paint and the spikes is the nicest dude I have ever met. My whole perception of NFL fandom is blown by Wayne.
It is awesome. And also, if you're a Star Wars nerd, episode 1 of This Crap Was on National Television is up. Chris Burnett and I look at the Star Wars holiday special. Eesh.
I'm telling you, man, sometime in the first 10 or 15, I'm coming on for Man versus Beast. You have to do it.
Absolutely.
I'll also take Harper's Island if you got that one at some point, and actually probably more than anything.
What's Harper's Island?
It was a show from 2011, but here's the one that you should go back and find because it's ridiculous. And the winner died in 9/11 as one of the firefighters, and the show ended a week before 9/11. Murder in Small Town X.
Okay.
That one was also ridiculous and crazy. So.
And we also have This Crap went to number 1. The last one that's up is Down Under, where I had 3 Aussies there.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, 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 yes. So it's a lot of fun, and it's the hippest way to cook a turkey. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you all next week.
Later, guys.